Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. If your legs have started to feel weaker, slower, heavier, or less dependable than they used to, I want you to stay with me for the next few minutes, because what you are about to hear may change the way you think about aging forever. Here is the truth most people are never told clearly enough. Your legs do not weaken only because the years are passing. Very often, they weaken because your muscles are no longer getting the raw materials they need to repair, contract, recover, and protect you. And that distinction matters, because if something is only just aging, people give up. But if something is influenced by nutrition, muscle biology, and daily habits, then there is something you can do about it starting today. I'm Dr. Sophie Hale, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through 6 foods that can support stronger legs, better mobility, improved muscle maintenance, and more confidence in the way you move. And I want to say this right at the beginning. This is not about chasing youth. This is about protecting independence. It is about making stairs feel less intimidating. It is about getting out of a chair without that little moment of hesitation. It is about walking farther, feeling steadier, and trusting your own body again. Because once leg strength starts to decline, life gets smaller very quickly. You think twice before going out. You become more cautious on uneven ground. You start avoiding long walks, busy stores, family trips, and sometimes even the activities you love most. And what begins in the legs can quietly affect the entire shape of a person's life. The good news is that muscle remains responsive much later in life than most people realize. Your body is still listening. It still knows how to repair. It still knows how to adapt. But it needs the right signals. And some of the most powerful of those signals come from food. Now, I'm going to count down from number 6 to number 1, from strongly helpful to especially powerful. And I'm saving the most surprising one for the very end, because it is something many people have in their kitchen already, yet they still underestimate what it can do for aging muscles. Before we begin, I want you to think about this honestly. Have your legs felt different in the last few years? Less spring, less power, less steadiness. Maybe stairs are harder. Maybe getting up from low seats takes more effort. Maybe your calves cramp at night, or your thighs tire more quickly than they used to. If any of that sounds familiar, you are not imagining it, and you are not alone. Let's begin. At number 6, eggs. Eggs are one of the most efficient, practical, and underestimated foods for aging muscles. Why? Because they deliver high-quality protein in a form your body can use extremely well, and they are especially rich in leucine, one of the amino acids most closely involved in stimulating muscle protein synthesis. That process matters because muscle is never static. Even as you sit, stand, walk, and sleep, your muscle tissue is constantly being broken down and rebuilt. When you are younger, your body responds quickly to protein. As you get older, that response becomes less sensitive. In other words, your muscles need a clearer signal. Eggs help provide that signal. And they do more than that. The yolk contains nutrients that support nerve function, vitamin absorption, and overall muscle health. So if you have spent years thinking the yolk is the part to fear, it may be time to rethink that old message. For many older adults, breakfast is either too light or too low in protein. Toast alone is not enough. Cereal is usually not enough. Coffee is definitely not enough. But 2 or 3 eggs in the morning can give your muscles an early signal that the day has begun, and repair matters. One woman I once spoke with described the difference beautifully. She said, "When I started eating a real breakfast again, it felt like my body stopped dragging behind me." That is what better nourishment often feels like. Not magic, not overnight transformation. Just a body that starts cooperating again. For a simple approach, try eggs with a side of greens, or eggs with a little olive oil and avocado. A strong first meal can make a real difference when muscle preservation is the goal. Now let's move to number 5, salmon. If your legs often feel achy, sore, stiff, or slow to recover, inflammation may be playing a role. And salmon is one of the most useful foods for addressing that. Salmon provides protein, yes, but it also brings omega-3 fatty acids, especially EPA and DHA, which help support a healthier inflammatory balance in the body. That matters because aging muscle does not only struggle with low protein intake, it also struggles with wear, irritation, and inefficient recovery. When low-grade inflammation is constantly present, muscles may recover less effectively, joints may feel more tender, and physical activity becomes something people avoid rather than build on. That creates a cycle. Less movement leads to less strength leads to less confidence, and less confidence leads to even less movement. Salmon helps interrupt that cycle from a nutritional angle. It also naturally provides vitamin D, a nutrient that becomes increasingly important with age and is closely tied to muscle function and balance. Many adults do not realize how much low vitamin D can affect strength, energy, and steadiness. So when you combine high-quality protein, beneficial fats, and vitamin D in one food, you get something unusually supportive for the legs. Try to include salmon a couple of times a week if you can. Bake it, grill it, or serve it alongside vegetables and a fiber-rich carbohydrate. It is one of those foods that supports strength quietly but consistently. At number 4, Greek yogurt. Now this is where many people get surprised, because yogurt is often treated like a snack, not a strength food. But plain Greek yogurt can be remarkably effective for older adults who need more protein without a heavy meal. It is concentrated, convenient, and rich in the amino acids muscles rely on. And because it is so easy to eat, it works well for people whose appetite is not what it used to be. That matters more than people think. One of the hidden drivers of muscle loss in later life is not just poor food quality, it is lower total intake. People eat less. They skip meals. They snack instead of nourishing themselves. And slowly, over time, the body loses the building blocks it needs. Greek yogurt can help fill that gap. It is especially useful after physical activity, even if that activity is modest. A short walk counts. A few sit-to-stands count. Light resistance exercises count. When you pair movement with protein, you reinforce the message to your muscles that they are still needed. And muscles respond to being needed. Another advantage is that yogurt can support the gut, and that matters because digestion influences how effectively nutrients are absorbed and used. A healthy body is not just about what you eat. It is also about what your body can do with what you eat. Choose plain Greek yogurt when possible, and if you want to make it more satisfying, add berries, ground flaxseed, or a few chopped nuts. That gives you protein, texture, and extra nutrients without turning it into a dessert. Now we are at number 3, and this is where the list starts becoming especially powerful. Dark leafy greens. Spinach, kale, arugula, Swiss chard. These foods deserve far more respect than they usually get. When people think of stronger legs, they think of protein first, and that makes sense. But muscles do not function on protein alone. They depend on circulation, mineral balance, and cellular energy. Dark leafy greens support all three. They provide magnesium, which matters for muscle contraction and relaxation. They provide potassium, which supports normal muscle and nerve function. And many leafy greens also provide naturally occurring nitrates that help support blood flow. That is important because muscles cannot perform well if delivery systems are poor. You can eat all the right protein in the world, but if circulation is sluggish and recovery is compromised, your legs will still feel heavy and underpowered. Better blood flow helps bring oxygen and nutrients where they need to go. It also helps the body remove waste products more efficiently. That can translate into muscles that feel less fatigued and more responsive. A lot of people describe leg weakness in ways that are very revealing. They say, "My legs feel tired before the rest of me does." Or, "My body could keep going, but my legs just do not want to cooperate." Sometimes that is a sign that the muscles are undernourished in more ways than one. Dark greens help close that gap. A simple strategy is to cook spinach or kale in olive oil, add garlic, and serve it with eggs, fish, or beans. You do not need a trendy recipe. You need consistency, and consistency beats intensity almost every time. Right here, before we move into the top 2, let me pause for a moment. If you have already recognized 1 or 2 foods that have been missing from your routine, that matters. Because awareness is where change begins. And the truth is, most people do not need a completely different life. They need a few better, repeated choices. Now, number 2, beets. Beets are one of the most interesting foods on this list because their benefits are not always obvious until you understand what they are doing. Beets are rich in dietary nitrates, and those nitrates help support nitric oxide production in the body. Why should you care? Because nitric oxide helps blood vessels relax and widen, which improves circulation. And improved circulation can mean better delivery of oxygen to working muscles. That matters tremendously for aging legs. Many older adults are not just dealing with weaker muscles. They are dealing with less efficient muscles. Muscles that fatigue sooner. Muscles that feel heavy sooner. Muscles that do not recover with the same ease they once did. Beets may help support endurance, efficiency, and even the feeling of drive in the legs during activity. That is one reason they have been studied not only in aging adults, but in athletes too. Now, I am not telling you that one beet will turn you into a marathon runner. But I am telling you that when circulation improves, movement often feels more available, and that can change behavior. When walking feels easier, people walk more. When people walk more, they stimulate their leg muscles more. And when that happens consistently, function begins to rebuild. That is how real progress usually works. One improvement supports another. You can roast beets, slice them into salads, blend them into a smoothie, or pair them with citrus for a brighter flavor. If you do not love them at first, do not give up too quickly. Sometimes the foods that help us most are not the ones we grew up craving. And now we are at number 1, the most underestimated food on this list. The one many people still think of as just a fat, extra virgin olive oil. If you have been taught to fear it, dismiss it, or use it sparingly, I want you to listen carefully. Extra virgin olive oil is not valuable merely because it adds flavor. It is valuable because it brings compounds that support the body in ways older muscles deeply benefit from. It contains polyphenols, natural plant compounds that help protect tissues from oxidative stress and support a healthier inflammatory environment. That matters because aging muscles do not just need to be built, they need to be protected. Think of your muscles as a home under constant maintenance. Protein is part of the building material. But olive oil helps protect the structure from the wear that keeps breaking it down. That protective role is one reason Mediterranean-style eating patterns are so often associated with healthier aging. Not because one food performs miracles, but because certain foods reduce the background conditions that make decline happen faster. And extra virgin olive oil plays a major role in that picture. It also helps with absorption. Some of the vitamins and protective compounds in other foods need fat to be absorbed properly. So when you drizzle olive oil over greens, vegetables, beans, or even eggs, you are not just improving taste, you are improving utility. That is a detail too many people miss. They eat healthy foods in the driest possible way, then wonder why the results feel underwhelming. Nutrition is not only about what is on the plate, it is about how those foods work together. And olive oil is one of the great partnership foods. It supports the absorption, the enjoyment, and the consistency that make good nutrition sustainable. Now let me make this practical. If you want stronger aging legs, do not think in terms of a single miracle food. Think in terms of a system. Eggs give your muscles a clear protein signal. Salmon supports recovery and inflammatory balance. Greek yogurt makes high-quality protein easy and accessible. Dark leafy greens support circulation and mineral intake. Beets help improve blood flow and muscle efficiency. And extra virgin olive oil ties everything together while helping protect the body from the internal wear that accelerates decline. That is how you build momentum, meal by meal, day by day, not perfectly, consistently. And I want to say something here that I think people need to hear more often. If your legs have been getting weaker, that does not mean your future has already been decided. It does not mean the strongest version of the rest of your life is behind you. It may simply mean your body has been undersupplied, understimulated, or undersupported for longer than you realized. That can change. Maybe not all at once, maybe not dramatically by next Tuesday, but it can change. A little more strength getting out of a chair, a little less hesitation on stairs, a little more endurance on walks, a little more trust in your own balance. Those things matter. They matter because physical decline is not only physical, it is emotional. It changes how people see themselves. And when leg strength begins to return, even modestly, something else often returns with it. Confidence, freedom, willingness, hope. So here is your simple challenge. This week, do not just admire this information. Use it. Pick 2 of these foods and make them non-negotiable. Then build to 4. Then build to all 6 in ways that fit your life. You do not need perfection. You need repetition. You need meals that actually support the body you are asking to carry you. And if you remember nothing else from this conversation, remember this. Aging legs are not a reason to surrender. They are a reason to nourish more intelligently. I'm Dr. Sophie Hale, and I want you to know that strength later in life is not a fantasy. It is something the body is still capable of responding to when you give it the tools. So the next time you walk into your kitchen, do not think of food as background. Think of it as instruction. Think of it as repair. Think of it as a message to your muscles that says, "We are not done yet." And for many of you, that message begins today. Until next time, eat with purpose, move as often as you can, and never underestimate how much your body is still willing to do for you when you start working with it instead of against it.